Hi, fourth graders. Today I want to review and give you a little bit of background information on rounding. So I'm going to share a couple of examples. I'd like you to have that spiral math notebook ready because I will have you put a couple notes and examples so you'll be ready for our lesson 1.3 today. All right, I'm going to start. I'm on my next journal page. I'm going to start by writing the date. Today is 9-10-20. This pen is not terribly great. I'm going to choose a new color. I'm going to put my title. My title for today is rounding. Go ahead and write that. And I will underline my title. Now, with rounding, as fourth graders, we are going to practice rounding three ways: to the tens, to the hundreds, and to the thousands. Gets a little bit tricky. Rounding can be one of those things that we just can't give up on. We have to stay confident and we have to keep practicing. But I hope that I can give you a few little tips and hints today that will get you prepared and just kind of get you back into the rounding mode. Okay? So let's talk first about rounding to the tens. So I'm going to put 1 and I'm going to say tens. Okay. We know that if we're in tens, we only have 2 digits. We'll have the ones and the tens place. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a few numbers that just have 2 digits. We'll start very simply. So numbers in the tens, we're going to have, let's choose 27. Let's choose 32. And let's choose 91. Go ahead and write those 3 numbers in your book for examples of tens, and then we'll talk about how we're going to round them and what we look at. Okay, so when we talk about rounding to the tens, we know that this is the tens place. That is the number that's going to change. It can either go to the higher 10 or the lower 10. So for example, let's just look at 27 for a minute. If I'm thinking about the higher 10, that would mean me going up to 3, right? Going up would be rounding to 30 because there would be 3 in the tens place. Now if I end up rounding down to the low, that means that I stay where I am. That means I keep a 2 in the tens place, and I'll just keep it a 0 at 20. So what my job is when I'm rounding is to decide, do I round up or do I round down? You'll notice that whether I'm rounding up or down, my number's going to end in a 0. How do I round? Well, I look at the digits to the right of the tens place. There's only 1, and it's the ones. So I have to look at the 7. I'm going to put a circle around the 7. The 7 is going to help me decide, is 7 closer to 10 to make me go up? Or is 7 closer to nothing, to 0, which would make me round down? Well, I know that 7 is on its way up. It's super close to 10. So that tells me that I'm going to round up. That means that 27 rounded to the nearest 10 would equal 30. I realize you probably can't write all of this, and that's totally fine. If you just end up watching this video just to get some background information for today's lesson, that's also perfectly fine. Let's try one more together, okay? 32. I know that 3 is in the tens place. I know that this is the number that's going to round up or stay down where it is. So if I round it up, that means it would make a 4 in the tens place, making the high 40. And if I round down, that means I'm going to keep the 3 in the tens place, making it 30. Okay? How do I know what to round to? I look at all the numbers to the right of the tens place. It's a 2. So I'm going to circle that 2. Now I'm going to talk to myself, and I'm saying, is 2 closer to 10, so I go up? Or is 2 closer to 0, so I stay down? Well, 2 has barely passed 0. It's far away. It's 8 away from going up to 10. So I know that 32 doesn't get to round up. It stays down. So 32 would also round to 30. Okay? So that kind of gave you a little bit of an idea. Now let's look at the hundreds. I know I had one more example. We'll do lots more in our lesson today. Okay? I'm going to put my number 2 over here. If you're following and you want to take notes, you can put hundreds. I'm going to underline it. And then I'm going to write 2 numbers that have 3 digits that go into the hundreds place. Here's the first one. All right, so now we have 2 numbers that are in the hundreds place. If I'm rounding to the hundreds, first I want to locate the hundreds place, the digit in the hundreds place. So I'm going to go ahead and underline it. The 3 is in the hundreds place, and the 4 is in the hundreds place, okay? Let's look at 351 first. I know that the 3 is the digit that will change. It can either round up, which would make it a 4, making it 400, or it can round down, keeping it with a 3, and that would be 300. So now we have to decide by all the numbers to the right what it's going to be. This one's a bit tricky, so I have to look at this number right here. I'm going to circle these. 51. Now I'm talking to myself and I'm saying, is 51 closer to 100 to get me up? Or is it closer to 0 to keep me down? Well, 51 is barely over, but it is still 1 more than half. So it is closer to 100. So that tells me I'm going to be rounding this number up. So 351 rounds up to 400. Let's try this one. 495. Again, the 4 is in the hundreds place, so I know that's the digit that can change if it rounds up. If I do round up, this will change to 500. If I round down, I will stay at 400. Okay? How do I know? I look at all the numbers to the right of the hundreds place, so I'm going to circle them. 95. Wow. Now I get to ask myself, is 95 closer to 100, so I round up, or is it closer to 0, so I stay down? Well, goodness, 95 is almost 100. That was a pretty easy one. That tells me right away I'm going to round up. Okay, so that means 495 rounds up to 500. Okay, I hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense. Again, if you're just watching this and listening, that's fine. We're going to do a lot of rounding practice together during our 1.3 lesson, during our math block. All right, you guys, let's try one more. I'm going down. Number 3 will be the thousands. So if you are writing examples down and you want to do this, go ahead and write thousands. We're keeping it very simple. Today in our lesson, we'll get a little bit more tricky, but I'll be there to walk you guys through it, okay? So thousands, I know that there are 4 digits in the thousands place, so I'm going to put a couple of examples. 2,000, 581, and 4,437. Okay. If I'm rounding in the thousands, first I want to locate my thousands place. That's how I know which digit is going to go up or down. Stay where it is. I know this is the thousands place, so I'm going to identify that digit. Now that's the only number that will change. So I know that if I round a 2,000 up, it will go to a 3, meaning 3,000. And if I end up rounding this number down, I will stay at the 2, meaning 2,000. All right, how do I know? What do? I look at all the digits to the right of the thousands place. So I'm going to circle it. 581. Ooh, another tricky one. I kind of made it like this one. I have to ask myself, is 581 closer to 1,000 or not, closer to 0? Well, it crossed that halfway. So once it's over 500, I know that it's on its way up. So that means I am going to round up. So 2,581 rounds up to 3,000. All right, let's give this one a try. 4,437. I've identified the thousands place. That's the digit that will change, okay? If I round up, the 4 turns into a 5, going up to 5,000. If I end up rounding down, it will stay, and it will be 4,000. Okay, how do I know? I look at the digits to the right of the thousands place. I'm going to circle them. 437. So I ask myself, is 437 closer to 1,000 or closer to 0? Well, it's not even halfway there. So if I'm not at least halfway, then I know I'm going to stay low. I'm not going to round up. I'm going to round down. So 4,437 rounds to 4,000. It just stayed. All right. I hope that was a good review or something new for you to start thinking about. Today during our lesson, we'll have a lot more practice. So watch this again. Add any notes or examples in your notebook if you would like to, and I will see you during our math block for rounding. Bye, 4th graders.